Hi, I'm Patty from McGarrahan from the Mind's Eye, and today we're going to be doing a show with Suzanna Kangiser. I'm terrible with names, But anyway, we met many years ago at the Mind's Eye when it was initially brought up, and then she had a business, and we went there and did some stuff over there with her. And she's now reading at my psychic dinners and hanging out a little bit. So here's Suzanna.
Hi, Patty. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And tell us a little bit how you got into, actually, she's a tarot card reader and a psychic mediumship as well, correct?
Yeah.
And how did you end up getting into it? How did it start out for you?
Well, it started out for me, actually my background is in witchcraft. And I've been a witch for my entire life, and now I'm a practicing witch for probably the last, I would say, 25, 30 years. Mm-hmm. And it just naturally, I believe, just goes with it.
Okay.
So yeah, so I do tarot card reading. I also do pendulum work. I work with runes. I do work with, people from the other side, messages and whatnot.
Excellent, yes. Excellent. And how long have you been doing this?
Tarot reading? Mm-hmm. I would say on and off, probably, I would say close to 15 plus years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that we were talking before the show, mm-hmm. and you wanted to mention a few cool things that you had that made you realize that you were on key with everything.
We were talking about when I was doing some readings. And
yes.
I think so some really validating things have happened during readings that I absolutely love the one special thing, and I always seem to get one when I do a reading, a one special thing for just the client that I'm doing it for. Mm-hmm. And I can have I have a few that stand out in my mind. And one of the things that happened to me, this was probably going back about maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, I was doing a reading for this woman, and I was actually doing a Celtic cross, and I kept starting at the last card instead of starting at the beginning, mm-hmm. Okay, the card and the crossover, and I kept going that way. And I'm like, I kept doing it, and I'm like, back here, Suzanna, back here. And I kept going, and I said to her, I'm so sorry. I said, for some reason, I said, I keep going to the end and I keep reading backwards. And she said to me, I can't believe you said that. She goes, that's how I read my books. I said, what do you read books backwards?
Oh, wow.
And she
that
said,
is so cool.
It's so cool. And then her friend, who actually is the one I knew, invited me, and she said, you have to tell her what happened. And I said, well, I was reading her backwards, and I said, and I couldn't help it. I said it was just like almost like not forcing me, but like I was really drawn to it. And her friend said to me, oh, that's how she reads her books. And I thought that was really, really cool. And I was like,
I
okay.
love that story.
But as soon as we got that out of the way, I was able to read
the regular way.
Front to back instead of backwards. And so I would think that was really cool, and it was just for her. So I really, really enjoyed that. And I have another story that I really like. I collect, moon water. Mm-hmm. And so I was packing up because I was going to a person's house to do his reading. And and I don't bring my moon water with me. I just don't. And they kept telling me, bring your moon water. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not bringing my moon water. And they're like, bring your moon water. I'm like, I'm not. So this went on for probably 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm not bringing moon water. There's no reason to bring it. Bring your moon water. I said, fine. So I packed everything up. I have the moon water, and I've got it so it doesn't spill. And so I did the reading, and I said to the guy I was doing it, I said, I don't know why they wanted me to bring this, but for whatever reason, I was supposed to bring this moon water. And he goes, oh, can I see it? Now I have it in a bottle that is probably late 1800s that I actually unearthed.
Nice.
Yeah, many years before.
Ooh.
And I've looked at it before, and it's got like a date on it, but I've never, I guess, really taken a good look at it. And he's looking at it, and on the side of the bottle, it says Seth's. His name was Seth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So explain what moon water is too, because some people might not know what that is.
So moon water is something that you make. A lot of pagans make it, and you put out. You can put it in salt water. You can get salt water from the ocean, or you can get, if you want to get a running water from like a brook or whatnot, or you can get, I always make sure if I'm going to get it from home, it's a filtered water, and you do put it out in the first day before the full moon, and the day after, and it enhances things. If you're going to do spells and whatnot, you use moon water.
Excellent,
Yes.
excellent.
So those are a couple of cool stories I can think of for it.
Yeah, that's absolutely fabulous, because it is crazy. I've had some clients that I've had things like that happen, and it just makes you jaw drop, because it doesn't make any sense to you, and then you sit. So
Right.
I've gotten really good about getting to that point where, even if it sounds totally foolish, you have to take your ego and toss it aside and just throw it out there.
Yeah.
And realize that you're just a vessel for
Right.
spirit.
Correct.
And once you realize that, it's pretty amazing
Yep.
how it works.
Yeah. Yep.
So do you have any do you go to home, do you have any specific place that you do the readings out of?
Well, so I do, I go to people's houses if they want. I do parties. If they want to come to my home, they can come to my home. I go to
The Mind's Eye.
I go to the when you have on Monday nights at the carriage.
Oh, yes,
house
the carriage.
Yep, I do that
And
there.
yes.
So that's always a great fun. Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought of one more. I just wanted to mention if you don't
I
mind.
love it. I love it.
Okay, so one time, this is probably a good 10, maybe not so much, maybe more like 7 or 8 years ago. I was doing a reading, and I had my phone, and I was doing it on a nice large table, but I had my phone way over there, and I was here, and the gentleman was across from me, and he was asking me about, we were doing the spread, but he was asking me about spirit guides. So I stopped the reading and I started explaining him about spirit guides and how I felt, and I said I have a really good connection with my spirit guide, this one particular spirit guide. I said I love my spirit guide so much. My phone went off. The light went on and it caught my eye, and it said, I love my spirit guide so much, and then it said, I love you too.
Wow.
I know. Yeah, it was
And
really
as soon
cool.
as you realize that there's no such thing as a coincidence, it makes everything just so cool. And I always say to my students and my clients too, when I stop thinking it's cool, then I'm not going to do it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you get so many things like that happen.
Yeah.
I was doing a reading for a girl and her sister, and I was confused because the phone rang and it was all zeros across, but the message came through, it was their mother.
Oh,
and
wow.
it happened to two, and I said, it happened to two girls at one house party. They were sisters.
Oh,
and I didn't even
wow.
know they were sisters. So
Wow.
that kind of stuff you just can't make up. It's
Right.
just so crazy how it works out,
Yep.
and so.
I
so
remember
much.
doing a reading at Mind's Eye a long time ago, and I can't remember the girl's name, not that it matters now. And I remember you had us working together, and I was doing a reading, and her grandmother came through, and this huge smell of pot roast. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm like, does your grandmother cook? And this actually smells happen to me a lot. And she was like, yeah. I'm like, I can't help it. All I smell is pot roast. And she looked at me and she was like, wow, every Sunday was pot roast.
Nice.
And, yeah,
Yep,
it was great.
nice.
Yeah, that was
Do you know what
great.
I get? I get the smell, and I can tell a difference. And it hasn't been out for, what, 1,000,000 years. But I have, my grandmother did Gina Tay.
Oh, Gina Tay,
And
yeah.
my mother did
Black-
Chantilly.
Oh, shit,
You know
yes.
the powder puffs?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they-
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
push
yeah,
it all
yeah.
over
I do
them.
remember.
And I get such a kick out of it, because when I get that smell,
Yeah.
and I get it like with other people all the time, and I'll be in group readings and I go, okay, I got a grandmother here and I'm smelling Gina
Yeah,
Tay.
yeah.
And all of a sudden somebody will go like that, and it's crazy how
Yeah.
it works out. So I get some of those smells too. And it's so funny because my mom's favorite flower was lilacs, and I love purple. So we had purple lilacs in it, and I've got one purple lilac bush in the front of my house. But in February, my birthday's in the middle of February, and my whole bedroom, when I wake up, will smell like lilacs. So I know it's my mom saying happy birthday. Yeah.
I love it.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're trying to expand your business,
Yep.
correct?
And we didn't mention, I also love astrology. So,
cool.
yeah,
Talk about that a little bit.
I love astrology. People get really aggravated with me because I'm like, oh, I'm Suzanna. Oh, wait, what's your birthday? That's the next thing I say. And then I'm like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, yeah. And most people can't keep up because I, A, speak very quickly, and B, most people don't know. Most people know their sun sign, which is great, and then I start talking about, risings and moons and do you know where Mercury is? And then I lose them, and then I also have to know my audience, but I get really excited because how much I love astrology, and I think it's just so absolutely spot on.
Well, I've got the opposite thing with astrology. I decided, because I'm a math whiz and I did accounting and stuff like that, but I can do anything. I got hired to go to Chicago to be efficiency expert. I ended up not being able to take it because my kids were little, and stuff like that. But so I was good with that. So I thought I would be really good with astrology. Now, I was looking at astrology back when you had to do everything by hand. There was no making the charts the way there is. And I thought that I would love that, and I hated it. And I did it once, proved I could do it to myself, and said, I will pay any time to have it done rather than do it myself, right? And but in the meantime, I had a hypnotherapist as well as all this stuff, right? Well, a woman that was a hypnotherapist, her name was Jean. She's passed away now, but
I know Jean.
Do you know Jean?
Yeah. She used to have a lot of zeros.
Jean Humphreys.
Yeah, she used to have a lot of zeros in her chart.
Yeah, and she died when I called up her daughter and I said, I found out that such and such a date was 000. That's when your mother's going to pass, when she was really sick, because I knew she was going to pass with all zeros. But she used to come to my open houses and different things, and if you talked and you had a problem or anything, she would say to you, what's your birthday? What was your time, birth, when? She jotted down, and the next time she saw you, she'd just hand you a report and a chart. And she was so fantastic. And through osmosis of her, I know a lot. So when I'm doing the readings, I do come up with a certain amount of astrology stuff that is really cool. And the other thing that I love is when I put down the cards, if they start to twist and turn, I go, hi, Jean. And that means that she's there with me. And I usually know something's going to come up to do with astrology that's going to end up coming up. And it's liable to be something like the grandchild was born on her birthday, and you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But I know something very astrological is going to come out of the reading. But I used to let her help me with Reiki 1 and then gift her Reiki 2 because she was so good to all the clients.
She was sweet. I remember her and her.
She's actually how she introduced me to put me on this other television show that I work on now. I do the camera. I'm the cameraman on, and sometimes I interview, whatever. But in that, I fell in love with it, and I thought, oh, what a great platform for mind's eye people that are trying to establish their business or just have some cool stuff to talk about, you know? And that's why I started the show, was because of that. Jean is the one that recommended me to go on June's show, and June used to have a holistic spotlight.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, we're talking, they were in Johnston back then, and then they now do it out of the studio right next to us where we're at right now.
At Mind's Eye?
Yeah. No, the studio right next door.
Oh, right here? Oh, yeah.
They do it. So next Monday I work on their show.
Oh, wow.
So it's crazy the way the whole thing works out, and the connections and the coincidences and the whole thing that happened. And during COVID, I loved it because that was basically my social life. We did a show, we did 2 shows, and then we went out to the restaurant and hung out, and that was pretty much our gig, you know. So, it's absolutely fabulous.
I was speaking about astrology, I was reading a book, and I've been sitting here trying to think of who the astrologer was, and I'm sorry, I just cannot think of her name, but she was a very famous astrologer. Oh gosh, back around the 30s, 1940s, somewhere in there, and her name is slipping. But she, and I was reading this book, and at some point she wrote, and she said, and if you can think of her, you can help me out. And she was saying that she always related to black butterflies. And as I'm reading the book, I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen an all black, because she was saying an all black, I've seen black butterflies with white or, yellow or whatnot, but I've never seen an all black butterfly. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And she said, if you ever see an all black butterfly, think of me. And I was just, there was a parts of the book I just loved how passionate she was. I actually had tears in my eyes. And I put the book down, and I'm like, well, that's really cool. And I went about 10 minutes, I got a grocery list together, and I went outside, and on my car window is a big black butterfly.
Isn't that great?
Not 10 minutes, and I'm just like, I just breathed in, and I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. I was so excited.
She was loving your enthusiasm on the book.
Oh
yes.
God, it was so great.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
But astrology, I love the concept of it, but like I said, I have someone else teach it, do you know what I mean, and stuff like that, because it doesn't just resonate with me all the time. And but I felt like I got a clearer view. I just absorbed what Jean said, and I learned like a great basis for my readings and stuff.
That's all you need when you read cards.
But then I got to tell you, a gentleman came to my shop and was teaching an astrology class, and he took a movie. I think it was like Daddy or something like that, or some kind of one of those with. Mark Harmon was in it, and then, oh shoot, I'm terrible with names lately. But it was also the gentleman, he and his brother were in a boys band, and now he's in Blue Blood, and his brother, and they have the burger place. Oh, I can't think of who it is, but anyway, I got to tell you, he played a clip of this movie, and I had us figure out who was what sign. And this family dynamics at a bowling alley. And it was so much fun because I felt like I learned a ton more because of that, because of it being in a circumstance like that. And I ended up going, oh wow, that's a Gemini, oh wow, that's this, you know what I mean? And I was like all excited about that because that made a huge difference. But astrology, it's so great that you can do it because I don't totally resonate. I resonate with it for the basics in a reading. Yeah. Yes, the man that's coming from you is going to be, you know what I mean, a Libra, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But I don't have, or sometimes I can just tell it's going to be an air sign or something like that. So I'll get that part of it. And
I think that's fine.
Yeah. But the rest of it, I let you guys that are really interested doing it.
I know my daughter, my daughter also dabbles in astrology. She's also a lifelong witch. And
she actually, her daughter looks like a freaking Egyptian goddess type of thing. We had a fire ceremony that we did on a private beach. Did you come, Suzanne?
I didn't.
You didn't? Well, somebody had a private beach that they let us use, and we did a fire ceremony on a full moon night.
Yes.
And her daughter comes down in this long dress, and people gasped. Because she took your breath away. They always do. She's so gorgeous.
She is so gorgeous.
She looked like, and it was so funny because Spirit told me to do the fire ceremony based on the goddesses. And so I did this whole thing on the goddesses, and then we wrote things that we were ready to bring into our lives, or whatever, and wrote letters and burnt them in the fire. But all of a sudden, when she came down, I said, "Oh my gosh." She's one of the reasons I was supposed to do this based on goddesses today.
Well, if you want to talk about Zaya, that's my daughter's name, Zaya, and short for Alexia, and she's a Cancer. She's the 16th. She's pretty Cancerian with a double Aquarian on each side, and she was due 11 days after, so she should have been a Leo, but she's actually a Cancer. And so I went to bed on the 15th, and while I was sleeping that night, she showed me my entire day on the 16th, right up to her birth. I saw her entire birth, and she was my only child that I didn't know the sex of. I didn't want to know. And when when I was, like I said, when I was sleeping, she showed me everything. And then she showed me her birth. And at the last second, when they flipped the baby over, it just ended. So I didn't know still
the
what
sex
it was.
was. Oh, I love it.
And so when I woke up on the 16th, you know, I'm getting up and somebody said this and somebody wore that and somebody came up the drive, and I'm just like, wait, it was all like, it was literally word for word, step for step, movement for movement, what I did, who said what, the entire thing. And I was going to the beach. I remember going to the beach that day, and I was like, you know, pregnant, and I was like, oh, I don't really know what I should wear, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up having a friend get me a bathing suit, and that's exactly what happened. Same friend, same bathing suit that I've never seen before. And it happened exactly how she showed it to me.
And it was letting you know that she was probably going to be very psychic.
And she started when she was about 4 or 5.
Yeah, I was 5. And
yeah, telling me about people that she's very connected to the other side, always telling me about who was going to die next. You know, and I was just
my
like,
oldest daughter was the one that told us that.
Yeah, and she was very graphic, and I was like, oh, okay, go away. But she was really, you know, she's just very connected. And I think we all have our gifts. You and I and, you know, Daisy, whatever, we all have our gifts, I think, that are really important. But I don't think any of us are exactly the same.
Well, that would be boring.
Yeah, it would be. And how I see, and it's interesting though, Patty, because when I have mine, like a lot of times it's like a vision and then a movie or a smell, and I can explain it to her, or just a feeling. I'm like, you know that feeling where you feel like this but not like that, and she speaks Suzanna. It's very interesting how she does that. And
that's very cool.
It is really cool, and we very much relate to each other.
Yeah.
It really is cool, and then there's like really not anybody I can speak to the way I speak to her, and vice versa. And it's just, you know.
Is she your only daughter?
My only daughter.
Yeah.
I have 2 boys and 1 girl, yeah.
Yep.
And she's the middle child, so you know what that makes her. Yep.
Yep, I got you.
She's that one. But we're so close.
I got one of those too.
Yeah, so I mean, just ridiculously close.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. But I'll always remember that fire ceremony and her walking on. And I wrote a children's book, and her daughter actually did the pictures behind it.
Illustrated,
I did it pretty much to just do a giveaway for.
It was your grandson, right?
Yeah, my grandson. It's called Collins Crystal, and it's on Amazon, by the way, and I'm not pushing it, but Collins Crystal, and it was about a really cool story because my grandson is a crystal child, which I believe Zaya is too. Do you know what I mean? And so what happened is your daughter ended up drawing the pictures for it, and then I had them printed to give out at the Christmas party, and Colin handed them out to everybody. And after he got done handing it out, he had to be like 4, and he's done handing it out. He might have been 5, but somewhere between there. All of a sudden, he started shaking it, and he goes, "Who needs me to autograph it?" And he went around and he signed it. And it was a beautiful thing. When I lost my husband, I found in a drawer he had hidden a signed copy of Colin's crystals that Colin autographed. I said, I'm the author.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm the star.
Yes.
He's the star. So he did that, and it was very cool. But your daughter did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
I've never pushed it. My daughter put it up on Amazon, and every once in a while I sell a digital copy for $1.05.
Yeah.
So I gave her like a free reading and stuff like that, but I wasn't able to pay her for it. But it was by the time the printing and everything for the day, but it made a really cool Christmas party.
Oh yeah.
So it was really excellent. And every once in a while, discussion comes up about it, and then I notice that people go, "Oh, I want a copy of that book," So, but she did a really good job.
Yeah, she's
talented in a lot of different respects.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not here to talk about her.
Somehow it turned
yeah, I
into
know. She's just gorgeous. I mean, she's got a modeling career. I mean, you remember she's an opera singer. She's a mezzo-soprano opera singer. She could absolutely sing mezzo-soprano since she's been about 6.
Yep.
And the fact is that she's, talks to everybody from beyond, and
it's crazy.
The things that we have in my house.
And probably some of your opening up was because of that. So I had a daughter.
What do you mean?
Colin's mother, she could read at 17 like a rocket scientist. But what happened is she kind of put it down and closed it off. When she got pregnant with Colin, she opened up like a whole bunch of stuff. Then when he started doing stuff to keep up with him and to kind of help him and understand what was going on, she let herself open back up. And she ended up a rock star doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But she did it for him. Do you know what I mean? To understand him. She fought the other side for a little bit, but they won. They won. Her son was talking to people, and she wanted to understand what was going on and that kind of stuff. So she did a lot of it for him.
Actually, you know, Patty, all my kids were born gifted.
Yeah.
And the boys turned away from it, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I have a granddaughter that I taught at 2.5 how to send them up.
Yeah.
And the grandson started seeing them. This is the oldest grandson. And I turned around and said, and my daughter said to me, he's scared at night. So I said, Dev, do you want me to teach you how to send them up like I taught your sister? I mean, Ariel was sending them up at 2.5 years old, you know? So I said, do you want me to do that? And he goes, why, Grandma? I can flip a switch, turn the light on, I don't see him. The world's a happy place, and he moved on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if, you know, different between the boys and the girls. I mean, because I have the 2 boys and the 1 girl, but especially my young one, because he was, you know, he could see, he could hear, he could, you know, he had it all. And my eldest one, Anthony, he used to be able to see, and and then he'd look at me, and I'm like, it's okay. And he would just, you know, he'd get really freaked out. He's like, nope, nope. And I'm like, Anthony, just, you know, let it happen. And he wanted nothing to do with it. My little one did little, he's 6'5", but
little.
my, you know, John, he could for a while.
Yep.
And then he was like, no.
My oldest one, she saw death, so I helped close her off. I went to an astrologist that told me, I can't think of her name, but she was fabulous, and she's passed away now. But she gave me her home phone number, and she said, your oldest child, when she's 7, you're going to need to close her off, so take my number. She was probably 4, 5 when I had it done. And do you know, I called her, and she did help me because I wasn't sure what to do. But she saw death, felt death, do you know what I mean? And that kind of stuff. And at first she thought hospital meant death.
Right,
but then we realized she was predicting it. She asked my father for a pipe to remember him by, and he had a massive coronary and almost died. And then she kept the pipe, and we said, he's all right. She goes, no, he's not. And it went on this whole little parade, and all of a sudden she puts the pipe in a snowman 3 days later. And we said to her, I thought you said that you needed that for remembrance. And she said, they decided he was going to come back here for a while.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
7 years old, so she helped me close her off, because that's too much for a 7-year-old to know every person, like if they're going to die.
I remember going through that. Yeah, Zaya was always feeling overwhelmed, and she didn't know how to shut it off.
Right.
And things like that.
So how can people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at my email, which is Muggle, M-U-G-G-L-E. Yes, I am a big Harry Potter fan. Yes, Muggle913 at Gmail.
Okay.
Muggle913 and at Gmail, and that's how you can get a hold of me.
And if anybody has a problem getting a hold of her, you can always get a hold of me, and I can get a hold of her. And I thank you so much for being here today.
I loved it.
So we're just finishing up, and you'll have to have Zaya watch this as long as she became one of the star during this. She didn't even know it, but she ended up a rock star during this.
Always.
Yes, she does. She does always end up a star.
Yes.
So anyway, so I'm so excited that you're working with me at the shows.
Oh, me too. I love it. Thank you so much.
And I love your energy. Your energy is really good.
That's my Sagittarius moon.
That's your Sagittarius moon? Now, what sign are you?
I'm a Virgo.
You're a Virgo.
Yeah,
that's right.
Nobody figures it out, because I'm so like, oh my God, how you doing?
Yeah,
you know.
Usually Virgos are very much in the
hermit.
In the hermitville.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So it's so anyway, I'm so glad. And as I said, if somebody can't get you, give me a call.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.